This video will explain the different sentence types. There are 5 types of sentence: minor, simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. So, how do you tell the difference between them? It's all about the verbs. Minor sentences have no verbs. For example, hello, yes, 3. These are all sentences that have no verbs in them. There are no actions. They would work as greetings or responses to questions, but out of context they are meaningless. These are called minor sentences. Simple sentences have one verb. For example, I live in a house. This is a great video. Danny jumped over the fence. These are all sentences that have one verb in them. They all have a subject that is doing the verb. Compound sentences have 2 or more verbs, and these verb phrases are joined by coordinating conjunctions. For example, I live in a house and I sleep in my room. We could go outside, or we could play games indoors. This is a great video, but I have seen better. These are all sentences that have 2 verbs in them. The verb phrases are joined by the coordinating conjunctions and, or, but. So these are the clues to look for to determine if something is a compound sentence. Do you see and, or, but joining together 2 different verb phrases, 2 phrases describing a particular action taking place? Complex sentences have 2 or more verbs, with the phrases joined by subordinating conjunctions. For example, I live in a house, although I spend most of my time outside. We could go outside because the sun is shining. Danny jumped over the fence, whereas Joe simply burst through it. These are all sentences that have 2 verbs in them. The verb phrases are joined by subordinating conjunctions, such as although, because, whereas. Now, although we only had 3 options for coordinating conjunctions, although, because, whereas here are just 3 of many examples of subordinating conjunctions. So the clue to look for is any other joining word beyond and, or but that is connecting verb phrases. Lastly, compound complex sentences. These have 3 or more verbs, and they use a mixture of coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions. For example, I live in a house, although I spend most of my time outside and enjoy playing in the park. We could go outside because the sun is shining, but I am worried that it will rain. Danny jumped over the fence, whereas Joe simply burst through it and left the fence in tatters. These are all sentences that have 3 verbs in them. They are a combination of compound and complex sentences, as they have at least 1 verb phrase connected with and, or, but as well as at least 1 verb phrase connected with subordinating conjunctions. So to recap, there are 5 types of sentence. Minor sentences that have no verbs, simple sentences that have 1 verb, compound sentences, 2 or more verbs joined with coordinating conjunctions and, or, but, complex sentences with 2 or more verbs joined with subordinating conjunctions, and compound complex sentences, 3 or more verbs joined with both coordinating and subordinating conjunctions.